From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big midday here on LALATE with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus recon and your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we'll go over that recon that was just released minutes ago. More informed. 564 pages released on Friday, 881 pages released this morning, and more details released minutes ago. I have all the breaking news at noontime. We'll be going over the checks that are in this recon, confirmed and set to be sent out. Checks for the American people, including monthly checks. The push is still underway for those IRS MSCs, but Purple Hawks are going to do really well under this fourth stimulus recon because these checks are in the thousands of dollars. $4,000 to care for the elderly, thousands of dollars for money across the board, everything from dental, vision, hearing, and also money for money for bikes, money for vehicles, money for home repairs, and more. Lots of various fascinating checks with massive payouts across the board. Then we'll be cutting, of course, to the IRS MSC and everything that's happening with that. There's a lot breaking news. And additionally, everything that's happening right now with the corporate tax rate announced for this fourth stimulus recon. These details and more happening just minutes ago. It's a big breaking news report, and it starts right now at noontime. Hey, good noontime, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Thank you for joining me at noontime. Boy, the weather is gorgeous here in Santa Monica right now. In fact, it's actually relatively cold. Hope the weather is good where you are as we go into this noontime broadcast live from the coast. And guess what? Your fourth stimulus recon bill has been released in part. First, the 604 pages that I'm going to go over in this recording, then the 811, and the checks for you. Lots of them. There are tons and tons of checks. I had told you since day one of this channel, there was fortunes of checks in the fourth stimulus recon. Now they're confirmed. The reporting of this channel is confirmed. We'll go over these checks, which include monthly checks, but not IRS monthly checks. Lots of various checks for single individuals, seniors, adults, workers, all various different checks across the board. Then we'll be cutting to how this recon gets to the finish line because it's right in front of it. We'll be going over what's happening between today and Wednesday. What's happening with broadcast media right now because there is some confusion about the corporate tax rate and that and more as we walk into a big noontime. Boy, there's a lot of breaking news, and this is LA, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America, live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. And there's a reason why you tune into this channel, because the first details of the recon was released over the weekend. I delivered the first indications of it over the weekend. But boy, more happening just minutes ago, so subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Let's add another 100, 200 people today. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Meantime, if you haven't signed up for those LALATE alerts, you need to do so because these next few days are critical. As details are released, and if you've been with this channel since day one, it's important to hear the provisions of the legislation ahead of time so you know how to pounce. Sign up for those LALATE alerts at news.lalate.com in the description of this video. Click the link of the confirmation email you get, and then you are ready to rock and roll. Let's cut to those monthly stimulus checks from IRS, Senate versus House, House versus Senate. So many people want to give it to you. Let's go over the details of it starting right now. We have Warren, Wyden, and Sanders calling for a monthly stimulus check. We have the AOC and Omar group calling for a monthly as well, $2,000 a month. And then we have the House Ways and Means calling for a fourth stimulus check along with the House bill. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. Get ready to vote. House or Senate? Senate versus House. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how the weather is. But let's get to the breaking news starting right now. 645 pages have been released. The reconciliation bill has been released in part. We don't know the total number of pages the bill may be. It may be upwards of 8,000 pages. But the first 645 pages were released, then another 811, now more minutes ago. What's going on? Let's go over the details, starting right now. First, who are the authors of the legislation? House. The House authors have been the lead people for writing the legislation, as I have been reporting for the last few months, but we never had confirmation until this weekend. My reporting was confirmed that the lead authors were in fact the House subcommittees, and the legislation released was written by them. Why just 600 pages? Why not the full bill? Because the way they're doing it is also exactly how I had been predicting it was being done. That negotiations were happening face to face among Democrats with Democrats, because this is Democrat-only legislation. They don't need any Republicans. And that ultimately, when they came to an agreement on a particular subject matter, then they said, go write it. Senate Democrats, House Democrats coming to agreement on certain subject matters, then saying, go write it. Once they have that oral agreement, which is done behind closed doors, in their offices over a cup of coffee, walking down the hall, not on TV, not on the Senate floor, not on the House floor, just in private meetings. Once they have that agreement, they say, go write it. That becomes the first few pages that they write. That's done. That's over the finish line. They've already come to an agreement on this. The finish line has been passed by the tow truck and the tow hitch at that point. No reason to concern yourself about when the vote is happening, because they've already agreed upon these provisions. So what is in these first 600 pages? It's just incredible. I'm going to be going over these checks in the final 15 minutes of this video. But these checks, again, one, are confirmed. Two, this is the result of negotiations among the Democrats. So these are negotiated items they've agreed upon. That's why these pages have been released. The items that they have not agreed upon have not been written yet, because they have not finalized that agreement, verbal agreement yet. Checks of all different types for the American people. In the third part of this video, I'll also go over about half a dozen items which have been repeated enough that broadcast media and myself now believe they will get to the finish line. That while they may not be in the 645 pages, they have been mentioned enough, including again today, that we all believe they will be in the final form. Then I'll also go over the other items that are proposed in that recon, that are proposed for the recon, but have yet to be put to bill format yet. Those are also deliciousness. Overriding theme of the money is that it's big ticket items. Items are in the thousands of dollars. Items are not a few $100s. And finally, just an overwhelming, overreaching analysis before we get into the details, is that broadcast media are not really going into the detail that you're going to see here about what are the items for, because what are they running? They're running the tax story of the forced stimulus recon. If you turn on broadcast media right now, that's all they're talking about. How much taxes, how much taxes, how much taxes. I'm not going to cover that so much. I'm going to focus on what you want to hear, which is, where's the money going? How do I get this money? What is the money for me? And with that, let's cut back to those MSC IRS checks. You're seeing for the first time on this channel, I'm starting today to add the word IRS when I refer to an IRS paid MSC, to make it even clearer, because there are MSC checks in here. There are multiple checks and there are monthly checks. So I don't want to get the terminology confused. Let's turn back to those. Senate versus House, House versus Senate. Who would get this? A single individual, 75,000 or less. Democrats represent, you would get one. Single individual. Married couple, 150,000 or less. Democrats represent, you would get one. Double it. Family of four, Democrats represent, you would get one as well. And quadruple it. And funeral benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits. Democrats represent, you would get one as well. Meantime, let's turn briefly to the big money that's available today. Forced stimulus, not paying today, not paying this week. This about to pay you right on the spot today. It's money for rent, utilities, food, internet, and more. And guess what? We are going to go over how you get this money. Get a pen, paper, and cell phone ready. I'm going to show you a new inspiration story. I'm going to show you new places to get the money. and then I'm going to show you the keywords you say. First, our new inspiration story is Mark. You've met Mark over the last few weeks, but guess what? I told you I had a new update for you over the weekend, and there it is. Mark came back with more money. Mark's the guy that got $55,000, $51,000 from this channel. Well, guess what? He got more. He got an additional $60,000 for the EIDL loan. He also got state paid back taxes of $6,000, and wow, he helped someone else. I love this. The spirit of this channel is helping people. Me helping you and you helping others. Purple Patrol is on patrol in the live chat right now. Thank you, Purple Patrol. But boy, he helped his brother-in-law, and the brother-in-law got $30,000 for rent, $15,000 for utilities. Whoa, that's a lot. $30,000 for rent and $50,000 for utilities. That's the highest numbers we've ever seen in this channel. $2,500 back from IRS, $24,000 for EIDL, $6,000 for state, and then $75 for internet and phone, plus $21,000 for SNAP. Those are the biggest numbers I've ever seen on this channel. And he says, thank you, LALATE, for helping people like me and my family to save our homes and our businesses. That's so kind. Thank you so much, Mark. He also says, you are the one who needs to get the praise, because if it wasn't for you, LA, a lot of people would be homeless and hungry. God bless you and your family. I appreciate that, and God bless your family as well. Let's look and see how this has changed in just a few days. I always show you how the numbers continue to get bigger day after day on this channel. And you see here, when we look at the rent numbers, people are ranging from $20,000 to $20,000, $27,000. Well, his brother-in-law got $30,000, so the numbers are going higher there. We met Johnny over the weekend, who got $9,000 for utilities. Now, Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 for utilities. Look how high the numbers have gone. They've gone up almost 300% in just a few weeks. Then SNAP, we're at $5,000 about 2-3 months ago. Now we're heading to $21,000 on SNAP. Incredible sums of money. And then we see numbers like this, which are getting higher and higher. Mark got $55,000, and the sky's the limit, because here's Lorraine at $105,000. This is what we do, because this is LA. I've been getting people big sums of money from this channel since day one. I got people money that EIDL and EIDL loans approved. In April last year, they applied for the application. They were not getting approved, and I got $25 million of EIDL loans approved, saving people's homes, their businesses, and their employees' homes. Then, over the next 3 days, I showed people about a new program going live, PUA, getting people $15,000 a pop, like Eileen Bellenkamp out of Florida. I did all the applications of all the different programs live on air, showing people how to get these sums of money, one after another. But in fall of 2020, second stimulus checks are not coming, so I had to get you money, and I got you $250,000 for rent, like Tyrone and his family for out of Boston, $15,000 for rent. And now we're doing it again. Bigger numbers than ever before, and it's third stimulus. As soon as third stimulus was drafted up, I had a pre-draft version, a world exclusive on this channel of what was to be proposed on the third stimulus. And I said I can get you a lot of money. I said $14,000 then. We're going bigger and bolder than ever before. So get that pen, paper, and phone ready, and I got new details of where else to get the money starting right now. This is third stimulus. First, I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. The 6 places are critical. Reach out to all 6, not 1 of 6, 6 of 6, because each has different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. They also have their own pot of money. Then listen to the keywords I say in this video. It helps get people approved. Also understand every place has money. Every state, they're all dedicated the same amount of money from the federal government. All right, ready? You're going to reach out to the following 6 places. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, and State House Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage and utility assistance because of COVID. And there you go. If you ever have to replay a part of this video because I went too fast, you can always just pull the screen on the bottom, replay it. Congratulations, Tim and Linda, who got this wonderful pot of money. Now, for all your utility companies, you need to reach out to every single one of them. So if you have 5 utility companies, you should be getting 5 checks. Utility assistance because of COVID. Lastly, if you're rarely in a situation where you've reached out to 6 places that I show you, all 6, and they all 6 had said no, then here are the nonprofits back in the mix. I covered them on 2020, and they paid out in every single state. And in early 2021, they did as well. They may also help you today. They are Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul, Community Action, United Way, and Salvation Army. And there you go. Congratulations to those people as well who got that SNAP money for rent and utilities. If you got to post in live chat, the next pile of money is the money coming back from SNAP. This is money from Department of Agriculture, money for your food. And Mark's brother-in-law got $21,000, but guess what? That's now going to be worth about $27,000. Why? Because of a wonderful decision by Department of Agriculture several weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, that raises everyone's benefits up an average of 25% lifetime nationwide automatically. I can't believe that I'm getting people lifetime average of $21,000 a year. It's just incredibly overwhelming spirit of helping people on this channel. If you got that some money for SNAP, post in the live chat right now. If you haven't, contact Department of Agriculture. Eligibility is easier than a stimulus check. The next part of the money is the refund check coming back from your state due to overpayment of unemployment benefits. That's landed by direct deposit. Average payment is $3,000 to $5,000. And then finally, the refund check coming back from IRS. That's the 2020 tax return you pay taxes on. That refund check is coming back to you. Average payment is $1,200 to $2,000 by direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it. You can track it at irs.gov, and 70% of the time it works. But here's a personal message from me to you. If you're in the live chat, post your success stories for the money you've gotten from this channel. Because when you do, you help other people. The spirit of this channel is me helping other people. And it's also you helping them. People need that encouragement just to pick up the phone, because guess what? Mark's brother-in-law never knew to pick up the phone until Mark told him. Now that brother-in-law got almost, what was that, $80,000, $90,000? People need that inspiration. Just pick up the phone. The money is available for you there. And when you pick up the phone, you get one item on a third stimulus, you're ready to rock on a fourth stimulus, because that is all about picking up the phone. Then we realize the sums of money going bigger and bolder than ever before, and then we realize there's lots of it. So pick up the phone, post your success story right now. And with that, we go into the second part of this video, starting right now, as your fourth stimulus recon bill has been released. Wow. The tow truck has passed over the finish line, and now the tow hitch, in some regards, is over the finish line for some items, and the other items are at the edge of the finish line. Let's go over what's happening. In the month of June and July, I had told you that the Democrats, every single one of them, including Manchin and Kristen Sinema, had agreed to, one, do a recon, and two, that it would be $3.5 trillion. They verbally met and had verbal caucus meetings, in which they agreed to do it. And once they made that verbal agreement, we were over the finish line with the tow truck. We didn't have to write the bill or call the vote yet, because that was just ceremonial. But when we did, we wrote it and we called it for a vote, and it was done. Passed in the month of August. But to get to that place, it required a few steps before them. And what were those steps before that? Agreeing upon a big enough price tag and taking the roads and bridges out of the recon. And the conservative publication confirms my reporting that basically it wasn't effective until that date. The higher the price tag was on the recon beforehand, the harder it was to pass. But by allowing the Democrats to take out the roads and bridges from the recon and put in the bipartisan, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller. In other words, the bipartisan made the recon passable. Once they had those roads and bridges out, then they had to agree upon the price tag. And that price tag they agreed upon and passed, recon procedural, passed into law, was $3.5 trillion. That's why Representative Richie Torres and Representative Ilhan Omar said we have to have a recon that goes as big and bold as we want it. They got it, $3.5 trillion. And that's why the President of the United States said, protect my recon, to Jalapal and Brian Schatz, because everything in that recon is checks for the American people, progressive priorities. So where are we right now? Critical moment, critical time. The recon procedural has passed. The tow truck is over the finish line. Now the recon substantive is either at the finish line or about to go over the finish line. As the first 645 pages, that's recon substantive. That's over the finish line. They've agreed to this in verbal negotiations. So calling the vote on is just ceremonial. What is still remaining? Well, if it's an 8,000-page bill, then we got, 7,000 more pages to go through, or 6,000 more pages to release. We don't know how many pages the bill will be. And those are really at the edge of the finish line. So let's go over, now that we're so close to the edge of getting this done, the differences of the two legislation, because it's very important to keep them very separated, because it can get complicated. So recon is your money, also called reconciliation, also called the budget bill, also called the Democratic Spending Plan and Social Reform Plan. Price tag $3.5 trillion. Bipartisan, not your money. Roads and bridges, also called infrastructure. So what are they finishing off now? They're finishing off now how to spend the money. We already have passed the reconciliation procedural, the tow truck. It's already over the finish line. Now they're going item by item, determining how a committee is to spend the money. And as they agree to that, then they verbally have the agreement. That's the finish line. They're over it. Writing it up is just ceremonial confirmation of what they've already verbally agreed upon, because Democrats are Democrats. But some of the items are still not agreed upon. How the committee spends the money? Well, push purple power, seats for stimulus. How did we get to this spot? We got to the spot by calling the vote. And 100 plus Democrats co-signed a letter from Jalapal that said, we're going to be putting monthly forced stimulus checks from IRS in that forced stimulus package. Can we top that? Yes. As 7 members of the House Ways and Means Committee also wrote the president a letter saying they're going to be putting monthly IRS forced stimulus checks in the forced stimulus package. Purple Power, you got to push, because there's a lot of people promising these items for monthly IRS stimulus checks. There are monthly checks in the forced stimulus recon. They're confirmed. I'm going to go over them in the final 15 minutes of this video. And there are multiple checks in there as well for you as well. But the IRS MSCs, Warren, Wyden, and Sanders have said they want to give it to you. We have the House bill. We have AOC and Omar, and we have the House Ways and Means. And can we top that? Yes. As Biden did, he got that global minimum corporate tax rate out of the forced stimulus recon, making it easier to do. And in the final 15 minutes of this video, wow, we got a lot to go over. We're going to go over the checks that are in the 645 pages. Hazard pay, checks for seniors, checks for workers, checks for businesses, checks for individuals, checks for children, checks for tending to the elderly, checks for all different types, and they're whammo of checks, big dollar values into the thousands of dollars. Then we'll be going over what are the items that are still proposed that are likely to finish because they have been mentioned so often. And then we're going to go over the other items, and finally those IRS monthly stimulus check push. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. It's important for you to get these sums of money right now under third stimulus. Pick up the phone and start getting 1, 2, 3 items today. When you get those items today, you're going to be ready for fourth stimulus, because fourth stimulus is all about you and the telephone. You're going to see how that works coming up in the final 15 minutes of this video right after this commercial break. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now at noontime with incredible news across the board. We'll be going over that fourth stimulus checks. The checks that have been released in the 645 pages are deliciousness. We'll go over these incredible checks, and you are just going to be jumping and happy as hell, because boy, I'm just still flabbergasted and looking at it. They're just incredible. Then we'll be cutting to the items in the 800-page part of the bill that was released today. Then we'll go over the items that are proposed that have yet to been reduced into bill format but are expected to get there. And then we're going to go over the IRS MSC and go over everything about Purple Hawks as well. Meantime, we'll have a little quick overview as well about this stimulus. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP. Meantime, the LA alerts, make sure you hit that LA alert. Let's go quickly over fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus is really heating up because of big concerns about how high inflation is going to go. Remember, fifth stimulus first raises your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, SSA, or multiple beneficiaries. They start drafting in September, out for a vote in about November. This is fifth stimulus. And then they applied the benchmark of inflation. But there was a lot of new reports this morning talking about this inflation. We all know it's going to be transitory. It's going to go up and then come back down. But there's new thoughts that it may not be transitory. It may go up and stay up if what we think about supply chains are still a bad issue. The issue is getting things out of the ports, shipping things from overseas into our homes. There's a big problem about getting things shipped and moved at the moment. And if those problems are not solved, they think that inflation could continue and that labor could be a big problem. If they think it's the reverse happens, they solve the supply chain, then the spike for inflation may be very quick. Still fine for us. Let's go over the analysis. First, they'll raise your benefits up. Then they'll apply a new benchmark. If that benchmark is inflation, you'll go up another pop. If it's 5%, you'll go up 5%. Not just next year, but a lifetime. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. They're going to move the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. Excuse me, they can't have more than $3,000 a hand on stay on benefits. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. And love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest and do a pair dance like Rob and Sandy and no longer fear loss of benefits. Finally, will there be a fifth stimulus check? Likely. The House Ways and Means Committee says they're going to give you one next year. Finally, if you're in the live chat and you haven't become a Purple Hawk, what are you doing? Purple Hawks have that emoji next to their name. And let's understand why it's so important to be a Purple Hawk, especially in view of what happened today. Today is a repeat of January of 2020. In January 2020, I started to first reveal world exclusives about what was to be proposed under third stimulus. And people immediately heard and said, I want this, I want this, I want that. I said, I love that. That's third stimulus. That's how you're going to pounce as a Purple Hawk. Hawk, hawk, and get that money before anyone else. Because, yeah, there'll be a $14 stimulus check, but this is big sums of money on third stimulus. I said I can get you $14,000. You saw it today. Mark's brother-in-law getting upwards of $90,000 on the third stimulus. This is real. This is happening. Fourth stimulus you're going to see in the next 2 minutes is exactly that. It's about learning about the big sums of money and pouncing, because there's lots of checks in there, multiple checks for you, and monthly checks for some of you on top of other checks. And it all requires you become sophisticated. Purple Hawks is delivered daily from me to you, a breakdown of all the big money available under first, second, and what's under third. And it's going to soon be what's under fourth and fifth as well. So consider becoming a Purple Hawk today. And with that, we go into the final 15 minutes of this video, starting right now. Here we go. The recon bill has been released in part. Wow. Let's first go over the first 645 pages. Again, these are pages of items which are sensibly over the finish line. These are items they've already negotiated upon, they've agreed to, and they said, go write it. We've already agreed upon these items. That's why it's just 640 pages. But boy, is it a lot. Number one, hazard pay. Wow. Hazard pay lifetime. Unbelievable. Hazard pay manifested itself finally in the third stimulus package in what's called a modification of the Earned Income Tax Credit. The Earned Income Tax Credit has been on the tax code for decades, but they modified it to compass the hazard pay type individual better than ever before, lowering the eligibility age, increasing the amount substantially, and running the program for a few years. But it's only a few years under third stimulus. Fourth stimulus makes it lifetime, which means that if you continue to work in that environment and qualify for this tax credit, you can get it every tax year. That is incredible. Number two, let's go over some broadly items and then go over some specifics. Broadly, some of the items include making Pell's education grants completely tax-free, lots of college grants, new incentives to rehab homes in poor neighborhoods, and then big breaks to buy electric cars and money to give you to buy electric trucks and electric bikes. All right, now let's go to some of the details. One of the ones that is really so fascinating and just wonderful is they're going to give up to a $4,000 annual tax credit for caring for the elderly. So if you're a care provider for an elderly person, let's say in your household, you can get up to a $4,000 new payroll tax credit every year. And yes, that's $4,000. This is not second stimulus with the $200 items. No, this is $4,000. That's number one. Number two, we just went over the earned income tax credit. Also, they would do this $4,000. Sorry, I skip back to it. They would also do this for if you tend to care for children, in addition to caring for elderly. Then the earned income tax credit lifetime for essential workers. Then coming back is the child tax credit lifetime. Wow. So the child tax credit, currently paying up to $300 a month for a child, which is about $3,600 per year. They would now make this a lifetime program, which means the child would get upwards of $3,600 a year for 18 years. Yes, that's monthly. Yes, that's automatic. And yes, that's a lot of checks. Up to $3,600 per check per child per year for 18 years. Incredible. Then they're going to give money for you to buy things. They're going to be a new $7,500 check or credit to buy an electric car. That's a lot more than ever before. They're going to give you a 15% credit to buy an electric bike, which is really huge. I mean, they're basically picking up 15% of the bill for you, which is incredible. Then there's going to be a brand new credit for buying electric vehicles as well. The numbers just keep on going on and on and on. Then there's going to be lots of money for students, which include a charitable deduction, and then grants where the money goes right to the student or goes to school, and then the student can get it. And that's the first 600 pages. That's the first 600 pages. Lord, exhausting. It's just a lot of stuff in there. And we're dealing with thousands of pages of bills. That's just the first 600 pages. Yeah, so let's turn to the one that got released this morning. That one was 800 plus pages. And that one basically doesn't focus on your checks. It talks about tax rates. And they're basically looking at about 26.5% corporate tax rate. Now, also discussed today by Broadcast Media and myself was the following about dozen checks. These checks, we have heard these mentioned so many times that everyone now believes they're getting in there because they've been mentioned so many times. There is some overlap with what I'm about to say in a second, so you will maybe see some of the items repeated more than once. So expansion of paid family leave and paid medical leave, a buildup of childcare programs, extension of the household tax credit, enhancement of the child tax credit. Here is the Medicare benefits, which I cover every single day on this channel. This is the checks for seniors, like lowering the eligibility age, checks for dental, checks for vision, checks for hearing, increasing Affordability Care Act subsidies, checks for free preschool, pre-K education, free community college. So they're going to give you checks to go to community college for free. There's going to be grants for clean energy and then more grants for that. Wow. Okay, so then here are the items that have been proposed, but may likely get in there as well. Not confirmed yet. Free school meals for all, checks. Tax break checks. Cheaper prescription medication checks. Checks for free internet. Checks for seniors. Checks for clean energy. Checks for workers like independent contractors. And checks for seniors. This is a repeat. Dental, vision, and hearing care across the board. Wow. That's a lot. So some of the takeaways from that, very, very obvious is what's happening here. Number one, lots of checks. You qualify for so many different things in here. Lots and lots of different checks. Number two, all non-automated, with the exception of the child check unless if you file the tax return, you're set up for that. But with the exception of that one, non-automated. The rest of them, the vast majority, 99% of them, are non-automated, meaning IRS would not be sending out this money to you, meaning it would be it would require you to pick up the phone and ask for the money. And this is where you soar, Purple Power, because this is what the bread and butter of this channel has always been since day one. Picking up the phone and getting this money. We've been applying for money on this channel since day one, whether it has been the EIDL, or PPP, or PEBT, or SNAP, or food, or utilities. We've been doing it since day one, so you're going to do very, very well. Number three, these are big sums of money. These are very big sums of money. Here is a personal message just I want to insert here. As I said earlier in this video, broadcast media are immediately in covering this story, not focusing on this. They're not focusing on what the items are. They're focusing on the tax part of the story because the tax implications are really, they're very aggressive. That's a kind word. They're very aggressive, and it is a big news story. I'm not covering that news story about the tax implications. I'm covering the amount of the checks. So again, if you want to see what these checks are and you want to turn on the TV, they won't cover it. They'll cover the corporate tax rate, the tax implications, because that is a very big story, and they think their viewership of broadcast media wants to hear that. I know you want to hear about the checks. Now, let's turn to this meat and potato of the checks, which mirrors exactly what I have been telling viewers over the last 3 weeks, that Purple Hawks are going to do so well under this fourth stimulus recon. Purple Hawks subscribers, viewers of this channel, who know how to get money are going to do really well. The people who are not going to get a penny from anything under the first 645 pages are the people who say, when is it directly landing my direct deposit account? None of this is direct deposit account information where you don't have to do anything or haven't done anything at all ever, because this was always where you had to pick up the phone. And it brings us back to the very first days of this channel, which is me helping people apply and get money. EIDL, PPP, you've always done this with me. We've always, as a family, applied and gotten this money, picked up the phone and gotten this money. And along the way, somewhere in spring of 2021, some people thought that first, second, and third was just automated. It was never automated. And this is the bread and potato. And guess what? You can sort of call it a stimulus for beginners and stimulus for advanced. Stimulus for beginners was always, $600 stimulus check. Okay, fine. I'll see you in 5 months from now. And while the rest of us are getting $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, stimulus for advance has been us getting $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $70,000, $80,000. This is stimulus for advance. These things you need to know to get them, and you need to watch the video. And that is why, in a very polite way of saying this, is that someone who says, how do I get this money? When do I automatically get this money from forced stimulus in my bank account? Never. Never. It's never automatically going to come there. Well, how do I know what do I get? You got to watch the video. You got to watch. That's why during the commercial break I pulled up. This channel now has 139 million views. I have shown 139 million people how to apply for things over the last year. And it has always been, how do I get this money? It has never been just, when does it show up? It's, how do I get it? And how is why there's a YouTube channel, not when, it's how. And this is why you're going to do really well. All right, now let's turn to the IRS MSC. The reason I'm adding the word IRS into the equation starting today is because this first 600 pages does have multiple stimulus checks in there, because you qualify for 4, 5, 6 items right off the bat. It has monthly stimulus checks in there for the children. So that terminology may be confusing for a lot of people. I'm referring to the IRS MSC as the one that would come out from IRS. Democrats have always wanted to give it to you. House Ways and Means Committee, AOC, Omar, the House bill, and of course, Sanders, Warren, and Wyden. But it was about 6 weeks ago where I told viewers pick up the phone and call and advocate for it. Advocacy of stimulus involves a sentence, not a question mark. I need it. We need it. This is why we need it. Question mark. When, where, will, why, how, when. That's not advocacy. That's just asking. And I had told viewers about 6 weeks ago to advocate, and they did. WR picked up the phone and called Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, longest confidant of Joe Biden, and advocated for a stimulus check. And he did. He advocated WR. And Senator Chris Coons' staffer said, yes, Senator Chris Coons wants to give you a stimulus check, and he's going to propose it on the fourth stimulus recon. That would likely be on the Senate side. Even if we start on the House side, we go to the Senate side. Then, when we're looking at the recon, the language that was released today is from the House Budget Committee. But on the Senate budget side, they're the one that oversees this budget bill, the Senate Budget Committee, and their budget chairman is Bernie Sanders. 3 weeks ago, he told Americans that he wants to hear from Americans on how to do what they want in this recon. He's a prior budget chairman, sort of do their own thing in D.C. I like to get amongst the people. So I told people to pick up the phone and call at the time. And Margaret tells me over the weekend she called. Thank you, Margaret. And Brother Joshua and Lynn Glenn called. Brother Joshua, 2020 volunteer for the community page and a longtime viewer in Purple Hawk, picked up the phone and professionally advocated for a stimulus check monthly. And the staffer from Bernie Sanders says, yes, Senator Bernie Sanders will propose it on the Senate side when this comes for a vote. What are the provisions discussed? The provisions discussed were $1,000 to $1,400 monthly. Great. Monthly, yes, that's great. And for a duration of 3 to 6 months. Awesome. But with a catch, that you have to support Bernie Sanders because he wants to ensure that you have his support to do this monthly stimulus check. You got this, Purple Power. Pick up the phone and call Elizabeth Warren, call Chuck, call AOC, call Bernie, call Ronald Wyden. Call them and say, yes, you got my support. I want a monthly stimulus check, IRS. When you compare the numbers, House bill, $13,000 1 year versus this one from Bernie on the high end, 6 months times $1,400, that's $9,000. Very, very comparable. Finally, let's recap. Let's go over where we are, because I know that's a lot in one recording. The reconciliation procedural passed over the finish line. Tow truck has passed over the finish line. As to the tow hitch, some of the provisions have now passed over the finish line. The first 645 pages revealed on this channel today have now been formally agreed upon verbally, and they said go write it because we firmly agreed upon it. Writing it means they've already agreed upon it, and calling for a vote is just ceremonial. It passes. They still have a lot of other items to do, upwards of 8,000 pages, but we don't know the total page count. Could be 3,000, maybe it's 2,000. And those items still be negotiated, so your voice is heard. Push, Purple Power, push, push, push. The 645 pages reveals that, one, the lead author is the House, that the Senate may still make modifications. They can. Remember, we may start House, then Senate. Number 3, these are big checks, lots of checks, and checks for a sophisticated viewer, for a viewer who watches the video from beginning to end, understands how to apply, not a video who sort of jumps in and says, when is it landing in my bank account, and in 10 seconds is gone. That viewer is going to get Zippo. This viewer that watches the video, learns and understands how to get this money, as I'm going to show it to you item by item, is the one that's going to walk away with a big payday. And coming up next is Afternoons LA at 1 o'clock. This video will automatically take you there. Then Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock, then Evenings LA as well. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel with 138 million viewers. And like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused. Don't forget to sign up for those LA alerts, totally free. And I'll see you next on Afternoons LA at 1 o'clock.